Hello, this is Kelly. I am here to create a video for you to set up a Google form to collect data in your classroom. So the first thing that you're going to do is go to your Google Drive, click on the New tab, go down to More, and click on Google Forms. So this is your template. This is the default template. You can go through and change the colors and the template and all that good stuff, but I'm just going to use this one for the purpose of the video, and we'll go from there. So the first thing that I would do is title my form. So Math Cruising Clipboard. Okay, once you do your title, if you come up here to the top left, it says Untitled. If you just click on that, it automatically imports your title. So now I know when I go into my drive, I know what I'm looking at. So form description, I'm going to put Q4. So for the purpose of this video, I am going to use second grade math standards in Q4 for this video and my next one for the collection of data. So this is really simple and easy to do. So the first thing that you do is just click on the words Untitled Question and you start entering your questions that you want. I use 6 different questions throughout my form to gather data. You can add or delete any questions that you want. These are just suggestions that worked for me in my classroom. So the first thing I start with are my students' names. And for the purpose of this video, and it's summer, I'm just going to use student 1, student 2, and you can go through your roster with all of these. And the neat thing about this is when you click on Add Option here, it automatically populates a new tab or a new line to create. So I'm just going to click in student 3 and we'll go from there. So this is great. What the neat thing about Google is what you can do is create one of these forms the way you want it with the collection of questions that you want that can be very specific to your content area. So for me, I set this one up, then I can make a copy for Q1, Q2, Q3, and all I have to do is just change one question because my students' names are already inputted and the data collections that I want are going to be consistent within math. If you're a secondary teacher, this would be great to set up one per class or your periods or however the structure that you have, and just make a copy and then rename the file and then change the students' names, and it's pretty easy. After I enter all of my students' names off of my roster, if you look over here to the right, it has multiple choice. Forms gives you different types of answer choices. Do you want student 1, 2, 3 to be multiple choice, a checkbox, a drop down, date, time, short answer? For students' names, for me, drop down was the easiest. And I'll show you that in just a little bit. So I'm going to make this a required question. That way I can't submit any information without it going and linking to a specific student. So once you've entered in all of your entire roster, you're going to come and click the plus sign, and that will give you the opportunity to add another question. My second question is going to be date observed. So for here, instead of clicking in anything in the options here, I'm just going to go over to my answer. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click in the date. Now Google does timestamp everything that you do, so if I entered something in here, it will automatically timestamp. So if you don't think you're going to go back and backdate anything, then you don't need that question. But for me, I like to go in sometimes into the spreadsheet and enter in things that I observed. Maybe if it was yesterday, oh my gosh, I forgot to put something in here. Or I have a collection of homework papers that I need to go through and I can grade and then input. So I might need to backdate it. So I am going to make this a required question. So I'm going to do another one. This third question, for me, it is how it was monitored. So this could be, was it our daily, warm up? Maybe it was independent. Maybe it was teacher table. Maybe it was homework. Okay, whatever options that you want, how you assess your students, you just want to put those in there. I am going to make this a required question, and I'm going to keep it at multiple choice. Okay, and so I'm going to add a new question. And this is where your standards, this is where the option, the box that you're probably going to change out for every, well, you obviously have to, for every quarter when you make a copy if you're duplicating. So what I do is just go through, I look on my YAG, and I just import, or not import, I just make them a little user-friendly for me so that I understand what the standard is actually assessing. So I know in second grade math, one standard that comes up throughout the whole year is 4C, and I'm going to start with that one because that is our problem solving. So for me, I'm just going to write solve 1 and 2 step problems. Okay, in quarter 4, some of the things that we do, it's geometry. So I'm going to start with 8A, which is create 2D shapes based on attributes. Let's see, let's go with 8B, which is create 2D and 3D shapes when given attributes. You know, something also that you can think about doing is, for example, in second grade math in quarter 3, we did multiplication and division. So I am going to, let's say my students didn't do so well on that and we need to work on it a little bit more, generally speaking as a class. I can spiral different things in there. So I might put 6A and just write multiplication. For me, I know what 6A is, and I know what 6B is. You get to know your standards very well by doing this, is division. So you would go through and enter in just a little description for each standard that is a direct teach in quarter 4 or any other spiraled teaks that you want. I am going to make this a required question because everything is standards based, and I want to make sure that I am assessing and recording based on the standards. On my responses, I want to do a checkbox on here. And the difference and the reason why I use a checkbox on this question is so that if I have, let's say, a daily warm-up that addresses 3 different standards, I can do 4C, 8B, and 6A. I can check them all at the same time rather than making, oh, this question is 4C, I need to do a whole entry just on 4C. And rather than doing 3 entries on one child, I can do assess multiple standards in one data entry. So that's why I like to use checkboxes. I'm going to add another question, and this one is going to be, how did they perform? So this might be, first one, you might put continue working. This would, for me in my classroom, this would let me know that they missed the concept or they're still a little fuzzy with it, and I need to go back and rework it with them, and pull a teacher table or whatever I need to do. Another one might be good. just had maybe computation errors. Maybe they understand the content, they identified, say it was the multiplication, and they drew their picture. Maybe they just counted wrong. So you can go through and add. I can add, great understanding. So you can go through and add maybe the great understanding is a 4, continue working as a 1. This one might be a 2, and then you can maybe add another option for a 3. Just whatever you like. And if you don't use 4, 3, 2, 1, maybe you put in other taglines based on what your grading system requires. I am going to make this a required question, and I'm going to keep it at multiple choice, so it only allows me to select one. And I'm going to add one last question, which is going to be additional notes. And I am going to change this to a paragraph. So this will allow me to go in and type in very specific notes about how they performed. What do I need to continue to work on? Or notes for me, meaning maybe I need to try this strategy instead. With the form, when you're collecting data on a device, your devices should have a microphone just to the left of the space bar that will allow you to use a voice text. And so for me, I obviously can talk a lot faster than I can type on an iPad. So I like to use that. I just whisper right into it as I'm walking away from the students so they don't hear my conversation with the iPad. I do not make this a required question just because if they completely got it correct and I'm just skimming through really quickly, I don't need to put anything on there. And that's all the data that I collect. Obviously, it's already saved in Google. You can see all changes saved in the drive, and I know what it's titled. What you can do is click send, and that will, I can send it to myself. And then that way when I get it, I can pull it up on my iPad and then save it to my desktop. So that way when I need it really quick, I don't have to go into my drive and find the form. So there you have it. That's the quick and easy way to set up a cruising clipboard or data collection using Google Forms.